think that recently my content has taken a bit of a shift to be more, well, I'm hurt. I am deeply hurt.
Playing the victim. You're hurt. You're hurt. You feel hurt. This is still about you. After all this, and you know what's going on in the background here, right? What's going on in the background is that they've been served with papers, or they've been made aware of the fact that there is a legal issue that they're a part of now because of what they're doing. And now they still have to sit there and play victim. But really what they're telling you is, I'm in trouble. I've screwed up. I've finally taken it too far. I'm being advised not to make any more content for a while and to lay low. That's what they're telling you.
Do not allow yourself to be groomed by anyone who is trying to get you to dismiss your own ability to see.
Yeah.
I go back to this again and again. This is the lesson of Little Red Riding Hood. She saw, but she allowed someone to dismiss what she saw. She saw the big eyes. She saw the big ears. She saw the big teeth. But instead of running and responding to her instincts, she allowed the predator to talk her out of her own instincts.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about this Lilly Tino thing again, and I know everyone's probably like, oh god, Vicky, why are you still talking about this?
Oh my god, who the hell cares?
But I really think it's very important because I think it's now showcasing exactly what the problem is in the trans community, exactly what people are upset about. We're going to look at the psychology behind this, even some of the grooming that's been occurring surrounding this whole Lilly Tino thing and the gaslighting and just all the bullshit. I know everybody's sick of it, but we have to kind of address this in order to move forward. I found this really, really awesome TikTok that we're going to walk through today. This woman who I think has some kind of a degree in psychology, and she really breaks down play by play some of the things that's occurring with Lilly Tino. If you haven't gotten an update about the situation with Lilly Tino, apparently, allegedly, they're being sued by somebody that was in one of those pictures from those ridiculous videos and photographs that they took inside the Disneyland bathrooms. Also, allegedly, they are being investigated by Florida's AG's office with regards to what went on at Disney World. So a lot has happened. Lilly Tino did an interview with somebody. Actually, the person that did the interview did a fabulous job, and I think pulled a lot of information without even Lilly Tino even really realizing what was going on there. But I think they really shot themselves in the foot, and it's backfiring on them now for doing that interview. And they also went on their own TikTok and did some terrible, terrible takes of mocking the person who is suing Lilly Tino for emotional distress and for taking pictures without their knowledge. I think that really shows just how much Lilly Tino lacks respect for anyone or anything that gets in their way, but especially women. So today we're going to take a look at all that. But before we get started, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I took a week off, so that's probably why I'm not quite at the 1,000 subscriber mark yet, but we're going to get there slowly but surely. And thank you all who have stuck around and supported me since the beginning. I really appreciate it. What we're going to do is we're going to start with some of those clips from the interview that was done with Lilly Tino just recently. I think it's very important to look at their demeanor, the way they're responding to these questions, and kind of get an inside look as to what is going on here, because I suspect that this is actually much deeper than just, Lilly Tino's making content and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think they're grifting, but I also think psychologically there's a serious problem here when you really dig deep.
Well, if you're willing to go to Disneyland and make the content you make and take bathroom selfies with people that aren't willing participants in the background posting that for millions of people to see. Is there no line you wouldn't cross? Like, when does it stop? Like, what length do you stop going to get your word out or get your message out?
I probably need to be misgendered in space. That's probably the farthest I would go.
Okay, last thing.
Do you hear this? First of all, do you see the smug mother effing look on Lily Tino's face as they respond to this question? They are the most narcissistic. I mean, Duper's delay, it's something. It's something to look at, to observe this person blatantly not giving a shit about anything. They think they're going to get away with everything still at this point. And this is after these allegations came out that allegedly the Florida AG's office was investigating Lily Tino. And they're still out there making content, going on these interviews. I mean, like, what the f are you thinking, dude? Like, you can just see it in their face that they just don't care, or they believe that they're tricking the world or getting away with something. And it's just angering people further and further, which I think fuels this individual's energy. And I want to stop and say, too, that this really makes a mockery of the transsexual community and trans people that I know that would never, ever in a million years act like, do any of the things that Lily Tino has done.
Would you like the opportunity to publicly apologize or take accountability for any of your actions or to anyone you've negatively impacted?
I'm gonna pass on this.
Okay.
Of course you're going to pass on that because you don't want to admit any guilt or any admission of guilt because you know you're in trouble. You know that the law is after you. You know you're being watched. So, of course, now you're not going to take accountability, but you probably never would have anyways. So I think after Lily found out about these women who are upset about their pictures being taken, and rightfully so, by the way, they took to TikTok, and this is what they had to say about it.
Suing Lily Tino for emotional distress. Last week, I was in Disney World in the women's bathroom with my child. And when I walked into the bathroom, there was Lily Tino taking pictures in the bathroom mirror. And she turned to me and said, "Hey, let me get your face in this picture." And I said, "No, thank you." But then she took the picture anyway of me and my kid. And I felt this really weird feeling. And I looked down at my kid, and my kid got turned into a corn dog. Lily Tino turned my kid into a corn dog. And then she looked at me and said, "Oh, that'll be great for a video. Can I use your corn dog kid to explain bottom surgery?" And I was about to say no, but then J.K. Rowling walks in and says, "I'm here to defend real women." But of course, Lily Tino pulls out her wand and starts using transgender magic. But J.K. Rowling was ready and pulled out her wand, and they did the thing where the spells go like... But J.K. Rowling was really smart and used a misgendering spell on Lily, and Lily got banished to the Shadow Realm. Then J.K. Rowling turned to me and said, "Don't worry, if you get banished from the Shadow Realm, you are also banned from Disney. So you don't have to worry about Lily Tino anymore. But you should probably still sue her for emotional distress." And then she turned my kid from a corn dog back into a kid, and we high-fived and took a bathroom selfie to celebrate.
First of all, this thing with the bathrooms, I don't know if you guys remember years ago, you know, before all this trans stuff exploded, right? Before a lot of people even knew what trans was, the bathrooms were never a problem. You know, they just weren't. People that were trans did their business, they left, it was fine with minimal issues. This all started after same-sex marriage was passed. They could not just leave things as they were. They had to continue with this human rights thing. And I remember they went after the bathrooms first, and they were like, "Oh no, we need to, you know, have gender neutral bathrooms, and we need this and we need that, and I want access to the women's room and blah 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 because I'm trans and blah blah blah." And it went on and on and on. And all of a sudden, I remember a lot of us looked around and we were like, this was never an issue. Who is making this an issue? And it's people like this that are making it an issue. And what's scary to me is that I don't think that Lily Tino is even actually trans. I don't. I think there is something else going on with this person. They have another comorbidity, another issue, and they're globbing onto trans. And we see this a lot. psychologically, because there is no gatekeeping through the system, and there should be, so that just not anybody can have access to this. There are so many loopholes. And I think the reason that Lily Tino goes in the woman's room in the first place is to sort of like use women as trophies, number one. But number two, what they're also doing is they know darn right well that they're the only actual man in there alone with these women as well. And who's going to stop him, right? Who's going to stop him? These other women that are actually kind of fearful and they're scared and they might be afraid or a little put off. You know, women don't typically like confrontation. I was talking to someone about this recently. There's very few women who are very confrontational, who want to get into it with people. Like, I would categorize myself as being more confrontational, but even still, as a woman, I prefer not to have confrontation. But as, you know, when you look at different types of women out there, I would probably categorize more on the confrontational side if I have to, because yeah, I am more outspoken than some people are, you know, that kind of thing. But like, generally speaking though, women avoid confrontation. They don't want to deal with this bullshit. They just want to go to the bathroom and have a little bit of privacy. And when you're in there taking pictures, and by the way, Lily Tino likes to sit there and say that, oh, all women are taking selfies and every woman has, and there's so many examples of it and all that bullshit. I'll roll the clip here.
Those Disney bathroom selfies got y'all real upset, huh? Saying, oh, Lily, you can't take selfies in the bathroom. It's not appropriate. Well, let me remind you that literally every celebrity you've ever enjoyed on screen has at one point taken a bathroom selfie. For example, and it's not just celebrities. Any woman you ever meet has likely taken a photo in a public bathroom. Why, you ask? Because we look cute and we want to document it. So what is different about me that I'm not allowed to take bathroom selfies? The easy answer here is, oh, Lily, you're a trans woman, so you get held to a different standard. And that is true. But people judge trans women differently depending on how well they pass. If you pass, that means you don't look trans. I know that I don't pass. Trust me, I know. But passing privilege is a real thing. There are some trans women out there who, no matter how hard they try, will never be able to pass. Do those trans women deserve to be treated differently? No. They should be able to take bathroom selfies too.
That isn't true. You know, first of all, those images that they showed were with women in private bathrooms, probably because they're actual celebrities and have private bathrooms that are taking private selfies. And secondly, like, I don't recall any time recently, anyways, that I can remember where women were taking selfies and didn't care that there were other women in the background. Like, most women that I know that ever do, like, are taking a picture, they want to make sure that someone else isn't in it, that doesn't want to be in it. Usually women are pretty polite about that stuff, if they're even doing that in a bathroom at all. So that's just all bullshit. And it proves that Lily Tino doesn't even know what the F they're talking about. They don't know anything about women, nor do they care at all, which is very apparent as displayed in all of this stuff that we've been looking at. So I saw this one from Blair White, and I really respect a lot of what Blair has to say with regards to this topic. And so we're going to get her take on the Lily Tino situation.
We meet and you call me by the wrong pronouns, it's going to be a confrontation. And I don't think you want that. I think you just...
Oh my God. Wow. Every day that this person exists, he creates a new transphobe. And the fucked up part is, like, he's not trans. I don't care what anyone says.
Yep.
I actually don't. Karen, aka Darren here, is most definitely not trans. And I actually do see people sometimes on TikTok being like, unfortunately, supporting trans people does mean supporting Lily Tino. The fuck it doesn't, bitch.
Yep.
No, I do not support all trans people. Some of y'all are very stupid and sick and problematic. In the truest sense of the word, not the lived out sense. Just a walking, talking problem.
Yes, Lily Tino is a walking, talking problem. But it kind of leads me into this next clip where, so a lot of people, even on the left, are condemning what Lily Tino is doing, and they're going against it, and they're finally coming out and saying, oh, it's not right. Well, I don't know where the hell they've been for the last 5 years. When all this stuff has been popping off all over the place and we're all getting called transphobic, but now all of a sudden they're actually seeing the light about problematic people like Lilly Tino. However, I'm still seeing people lecturing and giving the business about pronouns and all this other drama. Take a look at this.
You misgender a trans person just because they are a bad person. That makes you a bad person. Because
no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And this is the thing right here. Before I even go any further into this, I don't know who this person is, but you cannot sit here and tell me what makes me a good person, not a good person. And furthermore, this is exactly what people are sick and tired of. The lectures, the wagging the fingers in people's faces about what's transphobic, what isn't transphobic. These are the rules you have to follow. This is how you have to comply. This is how you have to be. This is how you have to talk. This is how you have to walk. This is how you have to do everything. People are sick of it. The masses are done with this. I think it's interesting that after all this Lilly Tino drama, they're circling back to the basics of you can't misgender people just because you don't like somebody. Okay, well, a lot of people don't even think that Lilly Tino is even trans, first of all, okay? Which is a whole problem in and of itself. We shouldn't even have to question that, but the reason we have to question that is because there has been no gatekeeping, because you wagged your fingers about gatekeeping. Like, nothing's ever good enough. Meanwhile, there are a collective group of real transsexuals out there that actually do suffer because of people like that. And everybody's just so sick and tired of being told what's moral, what to virtue signal, what to pander towards, what not to do. Everyone's done with it. We're all adults here, and we all know that what Lilly Tino is doing is wrong. So when people refer to Lilly Tino as he, what am I going to do? Police their language over that? It reminds me actually of a story. I remember when, I don't know, it was a few years ago, some trans person shot up a school. I think it was a Christian school or something. And they were being misgendered or whatever somewhere in the headlines or in the comments. And people had the audacity to sit there and be like, you're misgendering this person. And people are like, what? Really? I'm misgendering a murderer who killed children? And you're giving me shit about that? Like, you have to all understand when to back off and what hill not to fucking die on.
because it shows that your respect for trans people is conditional. Like, would you start saying racist things about a person of color just because they're a bad person? I would hope.
I'm sorry to keep interrupting, but yes, sometimes things are conditional. Sometimes things are not unconditional with people. And the thing is, it's like, oh, it shows you don't respect them. But obviously this respect is not mutual because people don't listen to women. They don't want to be called cis. They sometimes do not want these people in their bathrooms if they feel threatened. They don't want them in their sports. But yet you're still going to sit here and talk about what the right thing to do is and still lecture women or people in general about what they should and shouldn't do and what they should and shouldn't say when they were never listened to in the first place. Like, sorry, but women will be listened to. Females will be listened to. Females will be protected at the end of the day. And again, I can't stress this enough, how bad I feel for transsexuals. I really do. I really feel bad for the ones that really, truly were and are just trying to live their lives. Friends of mine, actually, whose lives have been disrupted by all of this fucking activism bullshit.
Not recognizing a trans person as their gender is not a privilege. Okay, that's not something a trans person should have to earn. That's just a right that they need to have. Trans people have a right to be recognized as their gender, whether or not they are a good person. When you intentionally and maliciously misgender a trans person, that hurts the entire trans community. That is not allyship. Because you normalize the idea that transphobia is fine depending on the circumstances. And the people that are always going to be the most
These people have normalized the idea of transphobia being basically whatever they want, however they want it, however they need it dished up. The word transphobia has become so diluted that nobody even knows what it means anymore. They're just throwing it out there. Everything's transphobic. That's transphobic. You're transphobic. Blah, 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 blah. You roll your eyes a certain way. You're transphobic. You walk a certain way. You're transphobic. It has to end. And we're ending it. It's done. It's over. This has to stop. We're done with this. It's actually destroying the LGBT community. All this ideology drama. Because that's all it is. That's all it amounts to is drama. But then that drama in turn has actually hurt a lot of people in mass. And we're just done with it. We're just really sick of it. And we're really sick of these types of lectures, this type of content where people sit there and they get all up in their feels about pronouns. So this is where we're really going to get into the psychological aspect of this here. And what I think that women and a lot of people like myself and Buck and Blair and all of these other content creators that I've worked with have been trying to say for quite a while. And it has fallen on deaf ears for years, actually. It really has. And I think we're finally at a turning point, and Lilly Tino is the poster person for it. They really, really are. And what we're going to do is we're going to react to this psychological analysis and understanding of what's really going on here when you peel back the onion.
Try to keep it broad because I am ultimately critiquing an ideology and not individual people. But today I do want to talk about an individual because I think it's an exemplar case of what I am trying to expose. Some of you may be aware there is a man called Lilly Tino. That's what he calls himself. And he has been going around filming himself in Disneyland and taking pictures of himself in the women's room. He's a very popular TikToker, and his most popular videos have to do with, quote, misgendering, where he goes into restaurants and service staff accurately recognize him as his sex.
And this is the thing, you know, it wasn't just about the women's room pictures. It was about the misgendering stuff and the wait staff and harassing the wait staff, getting them in trouble for things, and then using various food objects to describe sex change surgeries and things that were actually very, very graphic that should not be around kids at all. You know, this has been coming for a while. And Lilly Tino has even admitted to the fact that they like being controversial and that they do it on purpose. So at the end of the day, I don't know who they think is to blame, but it's Lilly Tino that's to blame.
And then he has faux outrage and usually gets a free meal out of it or other free things, and then posts these videos to his audience. Well, this time there is a woman who found her own face that he put on his channel while she was in the restroom. She's rightly very upset that she was filmed while in the women's room, and I want to show you the clip of her talking about it.
Don't like it. Don't like it, okay? Anyway, I'm scrolling, and guys, look what I noticed. Boom. There I am. I personally am going to try to seek legal advice about it because I don't know what else was taken without my permission. Like other photos that may not have been posted because I don't know what else was taken in there while it was supposed to be a private area, when it was supposed to be somewhere that I should be able to just, you know, do what I need to do and feel safe doing so.
Why is this so hard for people to understand? Like, guys, I really want to know, why is this so difficult for people to get? That being inside a bathroom in a public place is not the place to take pictures and to get up close and personal. Like, they're there to go to the bath. That is what they're there to do. They're there to fix their hair, you know, do whatever they need to do. That's what they're there for. Why is this so hard for people like Lilly Tino to not understand that this is not okay? Probably because they just don't give a shit. I mean, I really think they just don't give a shit. Obviously, like, look at his face. He doesn't care. Lilly Tino doesn't care. Lilly Tino cares about making rage bait content, pissing people off, making people uncomfortable, but says it's to educate.
So this woman is rightfully upset that she was filmed inside a women's room where she has an expectation of privacy and safety. All women have this expectation. And
yes,
that's where the problem of this ideology comes in, because it has created a loophole for men to enter into our spaces. This
exactly
is the problem from the beginning that many women like myself, feminists, religious women have been speaking about. This is the danger that we have been pointing to.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about our very obvious instincts. We all have instincts and intuition that tell us very accurately what sex someone is. And I want to read This is from a National Health Institute study. And this says people are remarkably accurate, approaching ceiling at deciding whether faces are male or female, even when cues from hairstyle, makeup, or facial hair are minimized. So those people who are telling us that we are unable to recognize sex, this is gaslighting. This is predatory. It is abusive to tell us that we don't see what is directly in front of our eyes. And this is what predators count on.
Yep.
And I want to say that this is grooming. In the book, Sexual Grooming, Integrating Research, Practice, Prevention, and Policy, one of the things that it speaks about in here is that grooming is the normalization and desensitization of increasing boundary violations. So the ideology of transgenderism has allowed grooming on a massive scale to happen. It is normalizing boundary violations. It is desensitizing women to boundary violations.
I just want to say from my own personal experience that I think at one point I was very desensitized to a lot of this as well, and kind of was captured a little bit anyways for a brief time by this ideology. And I don't know, I know that I've publicly talked about it before. I'm not sure if I've said it on this channel, my channel, or not. I know I've said it on other channels that I was almost violated in a gym. And it was literally at that time that I realized why women were so angry about some of this trans stuff. It hit me like a ton of bricks, and it really changed my reality and my perspective, and it kind of knocked me back into reality, if I'm being perfectly honest. And it's very easy to have misplaced empathy or fall into an empathy trap with this stuff because people don't understand what the difference between a transsexual is, and then there's these other people that are using this for kink and fetish and for grifting and for other purposes. And it becomes very difficult to tell the difference between those things. And a lot of people just think it's all the same and it's fine and and they don't think much about it until something happens to them, or until they start listening to people that are upset and listening to the actual reasons why, and listening to people like this individual speak on this topic.
In the past, if this were have to happen, if a man had come into the women's room, all of the women would be outraged. So this woman right now is very brave to address the obvious.
Yeah.
The rest of the women in those rooms have been effectively groomed. The normalization of the boundary violation that is happening to them, they have assimilated it. And this is how grooming functions. And we must stop this grooming to protect ourselves and our daughters. In the book, predators, pedophiles, rapists, and other sex offenders, who they are, how they operate, and how we can protect ourselves and our children. The thing that this book really gets into is power and control. That is what predators are seeking. And I want to show you a little clip from Lilly Tino about what he has to say about, quote, misgendering.
I know there are people out there who are hell-bent on never, ever being accommodating to trans people. Like, I will never call you by those pronouns. You will never have my respect or whatever it is. And like, is that really worth it to you? Putting all of that effort to be nasty? Because if we meet and you call me by the wrong pronouns, it's gonna be a confrontation. And I don't think you want that.
The veiled threat, it's barely a veiled threat from Lilly Tino here. If you heard this right, that, you know, you don't want that. That's going to be a confrontation for you. And you know, who are they talking to? They're talking to me. They're talking to women. That's who they're mainly talking about. And I think that this is a really big problem. And you've seen a lot of this with Lilly Tino's content, these veiled threats, or these kind of, they're very sneaky about how they say things, but they mean it. Oh, Lily means it. Absolutely freaking means it. They've made their whole life. They've made their whole life this. Their whole livelihood is this. So they actually have a lot to lose, and they're willing to put themselves out there and make threatening remarks and do some pretty messed up stuff. And it really, really begs the question, what the hell is wrong with this person? Because transsexual people that I know that well adjusted would never, ever, ever do anything like this.
I think you just want to go about your day.
So did you catch the threat in
Yep.
what he is saying? He's threatening here. You know, you better not accurately recognize me or else, or there is going to be a confrontation, and you don't want that because I'm a man and you're a woman. Who is he really speaking to? He's not speaking to other men. He's speaking to women. He's telling us there's going to be a threat. There's going to be a confrontation if you accurately say what is in front of your eyes. And in this book, I'm showing you a lot of books because I want to expose there's so much research about this. The mass gaslighting is so rampant, but this research is elementary. So in this book, it talks about pattern recognition. This is Understanding Intuition, a Journey in and Out of Science. So it's talking about our brains and how pattern recognition functions. I want to read you a quote from this. The capacity of the unconscious mind to record information about the environment and recognize inherent patterns of regularity is part of our human genetic heritage. We have been selected by evolution over eons because this has enhanced our survival. Sex recognition is a primal survival tool.
Yes.
It is one of our most primal patterns because it has to do with procreation, but it also has to do with safeguarding. So women to be able to recognize who are the men. We know that men are far more violent than women. You can go to the FBI statistics right now. 99.999% of all rapists are men. Okay, sexual violence continues to be an issue, and recognizing who are the men, that is important for women and children. So I am glad that this woman is suing. I hope that this story will continue to go viral. But I'm speaking about it here because I want everyone to be empowered to claim their instincts, to claim their own sense perceptions, to claim their pattern recognition skills, and to expose predatory behavior.
See, this is the key. This is the key point right here, is that we need to be allowed. We should absolutely be allowed to claim our instincts and claim what we're doing as women to protect ourselves and our spaces and the things that we've created for ourselves over the course of time that are now being invaded by people who really, truly do not belong there, that have no purpose of being there other than to torment and grift.
Do not allow yourself to be groomed by anyone who is trying to get you to dismiss your own ability to see.
Yeah.
I go back to this again and again. This is the lesson of Little Red Riding Hood. She saw, but she allowed someone to dismiss what she saw. She saw the big eyes. She saw the big ears. She saw the big teeth. But instead of running and responding to her instincts, she allowed the predator to talk her out of her own instincts.
That is such a great comparison and analogy to compare those two things. It really, really is. I do believe that we have been stifled to death with people telling us over and over again, don't listen to your eyes, don't listen to your ears, dismiss all that, put it on the back burner because you need to be polite. You need to be not so judgmental. You need to allow this. It's what I've been saying for some time, actually, with regards to this. And part of my awakening had to do with that type of thing and that type of behavior coming from a man, a predator. So, you know, what I have learned from trans women that I know is that the first thing that they kind of realize and what they kind of adopt in their own lives is listening to women and having respect for women. And when they do that, they get a much better response from other women. But as soon as you violate that respect and those boundaries, you're going to have a problem. And this is what I don't understand from these people, or even people that are out there still supporting the Lilly Tino types. What are you not getting? Because you're on the wrong side of history at this point. There is a middle ground. There is a happy medium, and everyone fucking outright refuses to do it. It's either you completely can't stand and you hate trans people, or you accept everything and everyone no matter what. And neither one of those things, in my book, are the right thing to do. There is a middle ground. Why aren't we getting to the middle ground?
This is exactly what Lilly Tino wants. He knows that the culture has effectively been groomed. He is going into these places, exerting power and control, knowing that the vast majority of women are going to stay silent because this has already been normalized and they are already desensitized.
So in the end, what's happened is Lilly Tino has come back to TikTok about 5 days ago, from the time that I'm recording this, and said that they're taking a break, that they're quitting for a while, and they don't know when they'll be back, but they will. Let's react to that.
So the whole point of why I do what I do, which is create content, is to educate and to entertain. And that.
Just so you know, Lilly Tino, you're not doing either one of those things. You are not educating anybody. You're actually pushing people away with your education because of the content that you're doing, where you're filming it, how you're filming it, what you're saying. And you have a string of history that's negative in association with this. So the last thing that you're doing is educating anyone. And last time I checked, I don't know that everybody wants to be educated about this. Some people don't want to be involved in this, just so you understand. And they don't want their pictures taken in the bathroom. And they don't want to be chastised when they're just trying to serve you food and do a job and go home at night to feed their kids or to support their family or do whatever it is they're doing. And you obviously have no respect for that either. There's a slew of things that you don't have respect for, but this education thing, you are the last person that should be educating anybody on what transsexuals are.
Order. And I think that recently my content has taken a bit of a shift to be more, well, I'm hurt. I am deeply hurt.
Playing the victim. You're hurt. You're hurt. You feel hurt. This is still about you. After all this, and you know what's going on in the background here, right? What's going on in the background is that they've been served with papers, or they've been made aware of the fact that there is a legal issue that they're a part of now because of what they're doing. And now they still have to sit there and play victim. But really what they're telling you is, I'm in trouble. I've screwed up. I've finally taken it too far. I'm being advised not to make any more content for a while and to lay low. That's what they're telling.
Because of the amount of hate that I've gotten over the past 3 years doing this, 2.5 years. And that hurt has influenced the way that I do things.
Now he's making excuses for why his content is the way it is. And it's because of other people. It's because of all the hate I've gotten. And it's how underappreciated I am. Baloney.
Especially as a streamer, I'm always on camera talking.
That is your choice.
Daily update.
That is your choice.
And I think that the hurt that I feel has influenced the way that I've pushed in my content to be confrontational and be in your face about what I'm trying to do, which is ultimate.
This is a whole lot of backpedaling, I think, in one like swoop here. Whole lot of backpedaling. You know, now it's like, oh, the reason I did this is a way for them to display, now that things have gone off the deep end, oh, it's because I'm a victim and that's why I did this. They're already trying to form their defense. That's what I see here. This is what I see. I see somebody trying to backpedal, trying to form a defense. And, you know, let me ask you guys, you know, down in the comments here. If Lily Tino just came clean about some of this and they were like, all right, it may be too late now, but if they were to come clean, let's say, and be like, all right, look, you know, I don't know if I'm really trans and, you know, maybe I took this stuff too far and, you know, I'm going to stop doing that and I've learned something from this and I'm a changed person, and say they really did take the steps to change and to learn and be different and to actually understand and be willing to listen to women and the things that have gone on. Like, say they actually did that. Would you forgive Lily Tino? I don't really know that this person can change or wants to change or understands even what they're doing wrong. And that's the part that really we have to look at too, is what is going on inside this person's head, what's actually going on here. Because it's not trans. This is not trans. This is not trans. I can't say it enough. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to freaking figure that out either. People that like to go to bat for this person and argue about whether or not they're trans or protect them and say, oh, well, you don't know and you can't be the one to judge. Oh, yes, we can. As women, we have to be the ones to judge, because we have to be the ones to be able to stand up and protect ourselves when we need to be able to protect ourselves. There is no working around that. That is not negotiable. I think women are really sick and tired of negotiating with people like this. They're over it. And they're done being told they're being judgmental. They don't care, frankly, if they are or they're not.
Teach people about trans things. Hopefully make for a more accepting world.
Nope.
You
ruined it.
The hurt to be a part of it anymore. That shift is not fun for me at all.
Oh, it's not fun for you.
It's actually really awful, and it doesn't just impact me, but my family and my friends, and you know, I'm not here to hurt anybody. I'm always going to be a confrontational person, but I think there's ways to do it that are not channeling the anger I feel at the world for hurting me. So to that end, I'm going to take a break.
I am deeply concerned by what Lily Tino is saying here about not channeling the anger at the world that they feel. They are really an unhappy person. And they're telling you pretty blatantly that the reality of the situation is Lily Tino, Nick Contino, whatever their name is. Lily is a deeply sad and angry human being. If you couldn't already tell, based on all their content, based on their years of bullshit. And here they are kind of just admitting it right here. Like, that's really the crux of it, is they're an unhappy, miserable fucking person. And they've brought down an entire community with them so they can make a few bucks. That's what I see. That's what I see. And, you know, we want to be empathetic. We want to be nice as women. We want to show people empathy and show people support. But you make it so women are pushed into the corner and we can't do it. You did that. That's on you. The onus is on you. When you repeatedly over and over and over and over and over and over and over make content that's offensive, that's scary to some people, that's worrisome, that's been deeply offensive to transsexuals, even deeply offensive to lesbians. You've called yourself a lesbian in the past. No, Lily, you are not a fucking lesbian. People are just done. They're done. People are at the end of their ropes. So, no, I don't want to hear it about the misgendering stuff. We're not going back to that. And you know, I've always been absolutely accommodating and respectful to friends of mine that are trans, you know, and it's like, it's not hard when that person is just being a regular person. It really isn't. And I think most people would agree with that. It wouldn't be hard at all because you know them and you care about them and you respect them and you like them. And that's that. But this type of extremist behavior kind of disqualifies you. So guys, let me know in the comments what you think about everything with the Lily Tino thing. Do you think this is the end for Lily Tino? Is this the beginning of the end? Is this going to turn into a really big scandal as far as the law is concerned and Lily Tino getting in trouble? Do you think they'll be banned from Disney World? Do you think that they will actually have real credible charges brought against them? Do you think that they'll quit TikTok, be banned from TikTok? Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you next time.